who will be responsible for the failure at the end of the day? Sharia scholars or something?
Well,
one question, and kindly we have one more question from our student.
As you know, when an institution is successful, many people take credit. When it is not, no one wants to take the blame. But anyhow, I mean, this is a semantic or maybe legalistic question. Our job, each one should really define his function very clearly. And then we have to make sure the different functions integrate with each other and complement each other. We have to make sure there is no gap, that there is certain needs which no one is required to address. What I tried in this lecture to underscore is that to define what economists and finance people have to contribute to the Sharia issues in Islamic finance. So, I hope we do try to develop this. And you may notice that Dr. Siddiqi's paper, which I sent you among the reading material, it really also sort of gives direction or moves in the same direction. He's addressing other issues, but basically he is also telling us that you need to do some functions which Sharia scholars are not trained to do. And these other functions basically have to be undertaken by other experts. But of course, the tricky part, if you bring an expert, economist or finance person who knows nothing about Sharia, he will not be useful either, because he cannot communicate with Sharia people. He cannot appreciate their concerns. He must have a minimum knowledge of Sharia, plus very good knowledge in his own expert field.
Dr. Saeed, you have another question?
Thank you. We have, we have two more questions from Malaysia.
Okay, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My name is Taha. I want to ask Dr. Zarqa. I can see that on the project of Islamic economics and finance, we usually get stuck when the political power has got to be harnessed in order to be able to help us to achieve the objectives of this Islamic economics and finance. Because, for example, in the area of regulations that will be governing the banking system, this is going to be harnessed only when we have a government that is willing to be able to set laws and regulations that will favor the implementation of Islamic law and Islamic finance. Don't you think that without a government willing to work as a laboratory for Islamic economics and finance, we are moving towards a dead end?
Please, can you shorten the question, because I'm getting some distortion during the question. Can you make it very short?
All right. I want to ask you specifically that I can see the obstacle to the success of Islamic banking and finance is the absence of a government or an economy which is working as a laboratory, so that the world can be able to see how Islamic finance economics can work. In the absence of that, how do we move forward?
Can Dr. Khalifa
I will
take another question from us, please?
Dr. Anas, I think the question is, to what extent the government can play a role to support the implementation of regulations on Islamic finance?
The government can play a role to support the implementation of.
Can play positive or negative role?
Of course, notice the banks are very special institutions. Their existence and their success depends very much on functions which only the central bank in the country can provide. So even though the individual bank has its own, of course, responsibilities, the overall functioning of the banking system is crucially dependent on good central bank policies, and not only policies, also appreciation of the particular problems faced by Islamic banks. So definitely, there is no question about it. The central banks, I would say not their government is too general. Basically, central banking itself is a very crucial factor in success or failure. And of course, all other supervisory authorities. Yes. So this is, I think there can be no disagreement about this. But we as experts, should be able to tell the central bank what exactly we want. We should be able to have effective dialogue with the central bank. For this, we need to know what are the top concerns, the matters about which central bankers care a lot. When we appreciate their position and we know our own requirements, we can have effective dialogue. We cannot demand of central bank things which is against their overall vision of the whole scheme. So there had to be, to have a good Islamic banking law and sensible relations with the central bank. You have to really be able to put yourself in his shoe. You have to be able to appreciate how he looks at things, what matters he is concerned about.
So, again, Malaysia, do you want to ask more?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Okay, I would like to ask the professor, how do you feel the role of the Sharia board or advisor board in the bank playing so far? Because, as we know, there are a lot of banks, so-called Islamic banks, in implementation the Islamic financing, they are not extremely strictly follow what the Islamic principles are supposed to advise. Given this kind of situation, what are the Sharia board doing so far? And how do you find a person having be a member of Sharia board more than 100 banks? Do you think they are ready to do the job, or just become a name of the board only? What's the role of the people in this respect?
Doctor, can you relay that question?
Okay, there are a lot of Islamic banks. There's a lot of so-called Islamic banks. When they implementing,
we cannot hear you. It's Dr. Mahmoud.
I think the question is about the role of Sharia advisors in the conduct, on the proper conduct of Islamic banks and Islamic finance, and what is your opinion about one Sharia advisory board member having membership in several Sharia boards?
what's the role of the Sharia advisors in the Sharia board, and how can
Well, definitely, as we know, Sharia boards have two basic functions. So far, the most common sort of framework for Sharia boards, they have fatwa function and auditing function. They issue fatwas and they examine or follow up on implementation. Now, Sharia boards, by professional training, are trained to issue fatwas. They are not well trained to do audit. So, let me concentrate on this first fundamental function, issuing fatwa. You know, fatwa is more specific than a general Sharia ruling. Fatwa is issued to a particular entity taking its circumstances into consideration. A Sharia ruling is a general rule. It has standard sort of assumptions. But fatwa is issued to a particular entity in a particular time and place. So the fatwa is more tailor-made usually. Still, to make it a good fatwa, Sharia board needs very deep understanding from other experts as well. I do feel one matter which Sharia boards should look into is asking other experts to join them, to have even voting power. A good auditor, someone who really knows the reality of how things take place in the back kitchen of the institution. They need finance people to tell them the intricacies of financial arrangements. If they don't know English, they need a good advisor who is expert in commercial law, who can read this 150-page document and tell them exactly what it leads to. So, Sharia board to function well, they need other experts in their function as fatwa. The auditing or function, I would strongly advise they have to outsource it to specialized auditing institutions.
Okay, thank you. Let me now move to...
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. I will move to the International Islamic University in Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Can you hear me clearly?
yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Our voice is coming with more echo here. I don't know whether it is clear at centers.
It's fine. Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Atiq, I think
Nazarka, for your very informative lecture, and you have assigned jobs to economists to perform in Islamic finance, like understanding hikmah, social preference ordering of halal and haram, and preference ordering of modes of financing. But problem is that economists are normally absent from the decision-making process. Normally, administrative decisions are made by finance experts, those who are mostly unaware about Sharia, with the help of Sharia experts who don't know economics or finance in detail. So, Sharia boards normally try their best to structure products which are Sharia compliant, and